Greetings from LA, my dear friends. This is Daisuke, and I very much hope that this video finds you well and in very good spirits wherever you are in the world. And so it has been my great honor to be able to have discussed some aspects of the box set which was released earlier this year in 2024 from the Criterion Collection, and that being the APU trilogy. And the APU trilogy is a set of films which is from the filmmaker Satyajit Ray. And this year, January 2024, we saw the reissue or the re-release of this film, or the set from Criterion. The set having been released earlier in the Blu-ray format several years back, but now we have the re-emergence of this, but this time using the 4K UHD plus Blu-ray combo format. And so we've spoken a little bit about each of the films that is included in the so-called trilogy of films. Those films individually being Patapachali and Oparajito and Opur Sanchar. And we also discussed how this set is given collectively spine number 782, but that each of the films are also afforded their own individual spine numbers. So the set is spine number 782, and then Patapachali is 783, Oparajito is 784, and Opur Sanchar 785. But now let us speak about some of the aspects of the contours of the packaging, and then also the essay from the booklet, the great staple booklet, which I've just taken out prior to the start of recording this video. And then we can conclude with some overall comments we have about the trilogy writ large. So first of all, this is in this packaging where you have this outer shell of the case, which is like this, and I should point out that the cover art is reflective of a key character from one of the films of the Apu trilogy, and that film being actually Potapachali. And we have the great use of the font outline, which we see, which is a replica of what we saw in the earlier release from several years back, the Blu-ray release. I should point out just very quickly that one of the differences that you can see is, in fact, the slight coloration, perhaps, and also the way in which it looks here in the format. Excuse me. We see, for instance, the way in which the font appears in the new re-release. But here from the earlier Blu-ray, at least the one that I have, you can see that the font here, it's a slightly different color, and the font itself it's a little bit thicker or bolder, maybe even of a different font itself. So I like the fact that this new re-release kind of reestablishes the font that it's being used throughout the set itself. All the way down to the tone of the color of the font that's being used. I like that little detail, but just point out too very quickly the back here, which has some details about the set writ large. And then we pull out the actual individual sleeves themselves, and they are these sleeves. There's this kind of fold-out version. Let's go in reverse order here. So Pushanshar looks like this if you pull it out. It has the discs with this fold-out, this sort of flap format, which is also very nice. It's also reminiscent of what we saw before. And then let's see here. I'll put that there. And then Parajito is the same thing here as well. With the two discs format, they have the stacked version aspect, but they don't touch each other. And then we have Patapachali, and this has a little bit more of width to it because in addition to the discs and this flap compartment mechanism, we also have room for the booklet, because the booklet is meant to, or it's designed to fall in to this first part here like so, and you put the booklet in and it closes, so then it forms the rest of the width there, such as you can have it then stacked together with a Parajito next to it like this, and then Opushanshar next to it like this, so then it's able then to form the robust volume needed to fill out the form of the interior of the box when you put it in like so. So that's very similar to how the booklet rested in the Blu-ray set from several years back, in fact. So it's a replica of that, but this time employing the two-disc compartment system for each of the films, given the fact that we have two discs for each film, the 4K disc and the Blu-ray disc respectively. But going back to the booklet here, let me now go to the Patapachali sleeve, and then also put out here there's a lot going on here because there are a lot of components to this set, which is great. I've spoken about the booklet before, but let me mention it again. This is similar or practically the same to what we saw in the earlier release. And so what we have is the introduction of the APU trilogy, and then the table of contents, and then some specific pages for each of the feature film specific. So Patapachali section here on pages 2 and 3, and then Oparajito section here on pages 4 and 5, and then Pushanshara in 6 and 7 here for purposes of details of the screen, of the cast and crew details for each of the films, plus a still or an image that accompanies each of the films. And as you can see, for those who know the films, these are very key moments or key characters that are part of each of these films respectively. So those are the film-specific moments. But then we have the essays or the writings, which are also things that we've seen before. So the first essay is, these are what could be said, the first essay, let's say, is Every Common Sight. This is the Terence Rafferty essay. This is a really great essay. It's comprehensive, so it does touch upon all the films overall, and does touch upon Satyajit Ray's career, especially as the APU trilogy sits within the context of that career. And also, excuse me, a number of the collaborators that we have mentioned that have been very key collaborators in the creation of the APU the trilogy films, as well as continuing on in certain degrees in the context of Satyajit Ray's filmography. So there are many moments here too that also speak to other parts of Satyajit Ray's filmography beyond the APU trilogy, or even films that were made while the APU trilogy was still in the process, as a manner of speaking, of being made. So I think this is overall a wonderful comprehensive essay, the Rafferty essay. So please check this out if you can. Once again, my strong suggestion is watch all of the films first, and then you can read the great Rafferty essay. So that's the first writing to be mentioned here. Then we have, starting on page 17 of this booklet, Ray's storyboards for Patar Pachali. And so we have this part. If you take a look at this, Ray's storyboards for Patar Pachali, which is very interesting. This is interesting. It's a storyboards for Patar Pachali, but there's a still here, which is from Aparajito, in fact, or a picture that's from Aparajito. But that's okay, because we have here the actual facsimiles of the storyboard. I should point out too that there's a little bit of a difference in the paper quality feel, which is also very nice. There's a little bit of a laminated quality to the pages preceding this and following this, but the actual storyboarded pages here have this wonderful, almost a wonderful, great coarseness to it, which I think is very welcoming in terms of the tactile nature of this. This is really great. I should put it maybe in this way. Sorry about this, to show it in this formatted way, to show that it does look in this manner. We're reminded too of the way in which this was storyboarded, especially the first film, compared with, say, how the films for like Parajito, for example, were storyboarded. So this also is a reminder too of the illustration skills and gifts of Satyajit Ray himself. So it's I think a very nice nice point to keep in mind. Again, the storyboards are really important, and also how this is a real, especially Patar Pachali was this labor of love, a truly independent film project, and so it's great. I should point out that the same nature of the tactile quality of these storyboard facsimile pages for the film also are, that's the experience when you read, this is the booklet from the previous 2015, circa 2015 Blu-ray set. So well done for being able to keep that or maintain that as part of the booklet reading experience from Criterion. I really like that. But apart from that, or in addition to that, we have the actual examples of the storyboards themselves. So and it's a really cool thing to be able to try to make out how they are similar to the final product when you see Patar Pachali on the screen. So, and again, these storyboards are referenced in a number of the supplements that we see throughout the course of the APU trilogy films, because they make note of how the film was made and the real, almost individual, the independent spirit that was riding, that was being ridden by Satyajit Ray as he was making this film. And part of that is the storyboards, as well as an illustration of how he was an illustrator and artist himself, Satyajit Ray. So that's great. So that's another thing about the booklet that's really wonderful. Then the third writing here is called Behind the Universal by Girish Shambhu. And this is also a comprehensive essay in that it is covering the Opus trilogy writ large. But I know we've mentioned a little bit about this in some previous discussions. This is another great essay because it does focus in on the fact that I think Satyajit Ray's films and the Opus trilogy overall have been regarded universally. They've had a wonderful reaction, critical reaction on the universal, the international film festival circuit, for example. And also universal acclaim from many places overseas, etc. So that might suggest a type of universal aspect of the films and the filmmaking style of Satyajit Ray. But this essay by Shambhu suggests that, in fact, there are many what one might call cultural specific points that are very much also part of Satyajit Ray's background and experience, and also education, maybe concerns, while also maybe having points that again are celebrated from sort of international points of, say, the world cinema scene. For example, the attention given from other filmmakers like, say, Akira Kurosawa or Jean Renoir, but also there are many points of there are very points that showcase a type of cultural context, which I think is something that Shambhu tries to emphasize in the mentioning, for example, of Rabindranath Tagore as an example of this influence on Satyajit Ray's outlook and artistic perspective, etc. So this being one of the examples of how this might be the case. It's again a reminder too of how, say, in some of the discussions, specifically in the Aparajito disc as part of the Criterion set, how some of the discussions were also tied to this idea of linkages and symbols that are very much specific to a contextual understanding of, say, Bengal culture, and how this would have been part of the engagement of cinema audiences, local cinema audiences to these films. And so I think that's a part in spirit what Shambhu is getting at in the great essay that's being given here. So Behind the Universal as being another great writing here. So please check that out if you can. And then last but certainly not least, the final writing here is about the restorations. And this is a quite extensive writing, at least more relative to, say, how these similar types of writings might appear with other Criterion releases and other films. But about the restorations, again, the restoration work is really important in the context of the Opus trilogy films. And so there's a little bit more detail given to the state of things prior to the restorations, what the restorations were aiming to do, what they ended up doing, and what is the product at the end of the day that we see that is at the heart of this Criterion release of the Opus trilogy. So that rounds out the physical media-ness of this set. The Opus trilogy, again, the films being Patra Pachali, Aparajito, and Opus Sanskar. So this is the set that welcomed us to start the new year 2024. And my goodness, what a great start to this year this was and is. It's a great reminder of how wonderful these films are. This is it's life affirming. It's heartwarming. It's gut wrenching. There are again highs and lows of this that are again, you need to see it to believe it. It's that kind of wondrous and magnificent and heartbreaking stuff that's happening, while always traversing this landscape of the humane and wonderfully emotionally wholesome and uplifting at the same time. This is one of the great examples of cinema, period. And you have it here in this box. So whatever the case may be for you, my dear friends, if you want to opt for this new 4K reissue or re-release, or if you already have it in the great Blu-ray set, it's up to you, my dear friends, how you want to enjoy these films. But if you don't have it yet and you're looking to find something to fill your shopping carts with some cinema goodness, this, I dare say, is one of the great examples of cinema that you will ever find. This is one of the great examples of Criterion's physical release expertise, restoration contributions, and the like. This is one of the reasons why I think Criterion is still in the game, as it were, in full force, and a reminder of the great important work that they're doing in collaboration with others, as well as a reminder too of the greatness that is cinema in the hands of Satyajit Ray and the APU trilogy. So what a great way to bring in January 2024, a reminder of this again in this alternative version, of course, but a reminder of what we had before, which is really brilliant, and also a carryover of what we had before, which is really brilliant. It still is brilliant, it will always be brilliant. And so if you're looking for an option to watch these great films from Satyajit Ray, the APU trilogy, whatever you are in for before and now, you're always going to be in for a truly, I think, life-affirming and utterly engaging cinema viewing experience to the max. So this is the reissue or re-release of this set from Criterion this year of the APU trilogy. Okay, so thank you very much, my dear friends. That's it as far as the APU trilogy Criterion collection discussions are concerned. So again, my apologies. I'm not at all an expert when it comes to the APU trilogy films or the films of Satyajit Ray, but I am a big fan. I am a huge fan of these films, and I continue to learn from them and try to learn from them even more. And so my apologies for my shallow discussions of these films. I hope you can forgive me, but I hope it still comes across the point that I am utterly a big admirer of these films, and even now when I watch them very recently in the context of this new release from Criterion, I'm utterly taken with the story of APU and Durga and Aparna, and it's one of the greats. I feel so lucky to be able to say that I can watch the APU trilogy in this manner. I'm very, very lucky indeed to be able to say that. So this is the Criterion Collection release of the APU trilogy. Okay, so thank you so much, my dear friends, for sticking around. I really appreciate it. I really, really do. I hope these videos have found you well, and I look forward to seeing you at the next one. We will continue on with our Criterion 2024 release discussions, as well as other film discussions where we can. But in the meantime, my dear friends, please continue to be happy and healthy and well, and please keep on watching a lot of great movies, including the films of the APU trilogy, Patar Pachali, Aparajito, and Apur Sansar, including other films by Satyajit Ray, including other films in the Criterion collection, and beyond. And so until the next video, my dear friends, stay strong, stay safe, and cheers.